All right. Well, happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to the STR Sovereignty podcast, hosted by Yada, myself, Peter, and our wonderful co-founder and chief customer officer, Steve. How's your Friday going?
Dude, my Friday is so good. It's a beautiful day here in Southern Ontario. And so rather than working for the morning, I got on my bike and met up with a bunch of other guys, some of whom are retired, and so they can just go out whenever, but others of whom do have work. So we went out for a nice long bike ride this morning.
How many miles did you do?
I don't know. We did like 70 kilometers, which is 40 miles or so.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm tanked. I have no legs anymore. Like it's hard to.
Right, we got to get you a wheelchair then, or some kind of motorized wheelchair to get around the house.
Yeah, it's rough.
I'm here in Boston. I went down to visit some family, and we're helping them get the pool uncovered today. So it's still too cold to even touch the water, but summer is definitely around the corner, or spring first, and then a little bit of summer.
It's around the corner, though. You gotta be hopeful.
100%. Well, so today we're going to really. What's up?
What are we talking about today?
We're talking about some really cool stuff. We're talking about Airbnb marketing and how to use marketing for your Airbnb to increase your occupancy. And it seems like a really simple topic, but there's a lot to dig into here. There's a lot of things that we're going to share today about just quick things that you can get started with this week if you're an operator, a host, or a property manager. And then some more strategic things that you can think about doing long-term to really market your properties, market your Airbnbs, and drive occupancy as high as possible. So it's a really, really fascinating topic we've got going on today.
Yeah, because if you want to grow your business, you have to market your business. And the weird thing about short-term rentals is most people do their marketing with they do it on the platform. They market their properties with the name of the property, right? Kind of the best practices are talk about what you're close to, talk about the amenities in the title. Make sure that your product shots are great and enticing and about the experience rather than about, what the bedroom or the bathroom looks like. Of course, you have to show those, but that's not the hero image. But marketing goes so far beyond just how to optimize a platform. It goes into how you're building your brand, how you're building relationships. And that's what I'm pumped to talk about today. We have some significant backgrounds in the marketing space. Myself having been at HubSpot for 4 years, at Shopify for 4 years. So kind of working on both the business to business as well as the business to consumer side of things. And Peter has been working at a number of shops that are focused on marketing, as well as you're also just kind of a nerd when it comes to
a little bit of a marketing nerd and growth hacking, a little bit obsessed with growth hacking, marketing nerd for sure. So you've got a really good blend between the two of us, I think, of figuring out how to help businesses go to market, how to achieve marketing and visibility and traction at scale. And hopefully some of the stuff that we've learned, some of the things that we've learned over the last decade or so of working at startups and working at companies that were once startups and are now tech behemoths, hopefully some of that can be useful here as well towards helping people market their properties better and marketing their Airbnbs better.
Yeah. So the place to begin with Airbnb marketing is that you want to do it, is actually deciding that it will be a priority for your business.
Yeah.
And so that includes, like, let's say you own a couple of properties and you're looking to hire a property management firm. That's one of the questions you can ask is like, how do you market these properties so that they get bookings, not just on Airbnb and you pay that extra, tax for being there on the platform, but beyond that, how do you get guests to come back? It's really about putting on your CEO hat and saying, what are the levers of growth that we're going to pull for our business here, and how can we do them as smartly as possible? Marketing doesn't just happen on its own. It needs executive buy-in, which means you as the business owner, you as the leader who wants to grow the occupancy rate and your revenue.
Exactly. And I think it's really important to just kind of highlight here that there's two ways to, whether you're a property manager and owner, growing the occupancy should be the number one priority. Growing inventory is a great way to grow the size of the pie. But if your per unit, if your unit economics stay the same, it's not infinitely scalable. So what marketing allows you to do is really focus on the unit economics, like how much revenue per year, per month, per week, whatever a unit is generating, so that as you scale the number of units, like if you're a property manager, if you're an owner that hands off your property to a property manager, one way or another, like your unit economics are very strong and very, very robust. And then as you scale the size of your portfolio, you know that your unit, like all of the processes, the tools, like the habits that you built to grow your unit economics apply to every subsequent unit that you bring into the brand. So as a CEO, as a property manager, you need to be able to be like, you need the buy-in to do this. Like you need to want to grow your unit economics, because this, like marketing and outreach and outbound and getting visibility and eyeballs on your portfolio, on your properties, on your rentals, is the best, most effective, and also one of the cheapest ways to grow those unit economics. Because building a pool or a pickleball court costs like $50,000 or $45,000 with very dubious, non-deterministic returns. Like you can't like 100% for sure say that if you rebuild your kitchen or you retile your pool or something like that you're going to get more bookings. With good marketing, it's a very linear, like a very correlated relationship between how much effort and buy-in and energy and resources you put into marketing your properties and how much your occupancy rate jumps, especially on things like shoulder seasons and off seasons and those parts of the calendar where your properties are sitting empty.
Yeah. Totally, man. That's why you're the CEO. Just thinking about those unit economics and how you want to scale it and all that good stuff.
Well, I mean, you probably did something, really similar at HubSpot, where if you were really helping people get the most out of HubSpot. And I think the folks that were really the most successful were the ones that were, that took their journey of implementing a CRM and a marketing stack very thoroughly and like took it very seriously.
Yep.
They were the ones that had the highest degree of success because they did the work, they put in the effort, and more importantly than anything, they had a very strong desire to spin up this marketing stack and spin up this marketing cycle in their businesses. Is that something that you were seeing at HubSpot?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The companies that failed didn't put resources behind it. They bought the software and said, okay, now that's solved. Like, no, now it's beginning. You have to actually do the work if you want to achieve the results. Now, that being said, we are entering an interesting period where the need of the business owner to do the marketing themselves is becoming less and less. With the advent of AI and more advanced systems, it is becoming more possible to simply turn it on and have the marketing be done for you. That's certainly our vision in terms of what we're building at Yada. But even when that's the case, you need to be making decisions. You need to be aiming the company towards a North Star that has to do with repeat bookings, direct bookings, and how to do the marketing to actually achieve that.
Well, I love that shameless self-plug. I mean, we really are doing quite a bit of work here on making the process of marketing as simple and hands-off as possible. But yeah, you really need to want to do it. It has to come from the top. It has to be layered into every part of the organization. The desire to grow occupancy, the desire to grow RevPAR. If you're a larger operator, that's going to be one of those terms and metrics that you live and die by. Has to be something that you and your leadership team are really aligned on and really, really committed to.
Yeah. So the interesting thing to note is that if you're going to do marketing, it needs to be taking people off platform. It needs to be pointing them towards not the OTAs, right? Marketing is most effective when it's something that you can actually see the results of, where you do some work, people share contact information with you, people do their booking, and you're able to see who are those people, what was their journey, how did they get there?
Exactly.
And so there are two sources of people that you can do that marketing for. One is cold traffic. And so this is the realm of AdWords and Facebook advertising and kind of sending people who don't know you yet into a landing page, some way to start engaging with you, a valuable offer where they would share their info. Maybe you're retargeting them and kind of enticing them to come to your property. So that's reaching out for cold traffic. And in those cases, you absolutely want to own that full funnel. So that's where they share their information, how you follow up with them, what are the systems, who are the salespeople involved in calling into those accounts. So there's a whole world of kind of cold traffic generation, and that is important for a scalable brand. I wouldn't recommend starting there though, as enticing as it is, because hey, the whole world is out there. Why not reach the whole world? Meta knows who everyone is and what they're interested in. It's enticing, it's attractive, but it is not the first place to begin, because it's hard to convert someone who has no idea who you are into a guest, especially if you don't have those kind of trust factors and signals that are very powerful tools of the OTAs.
So thankfully, a lot of operators do have a magic kind of bullet, magic wand in their pocket, and that is they have a pretty robust guest list. And if you've got a lot of people on your guest list and you got a lot of emails and phone numbers, I guarantee that activating even a small fraction of that guest list is going to be much more valuable, like per dollar spent, per minute spent, per hour spent, or whatever, than any other activity that you can do to promote your properties. So if you spend, a couple $1,000s on a photographer to come in and really overhaul your listing properties or your listing photos, and you spend hours fiddling with your names on Airbnb and things like that, again, kind of like what we started the conversation with, the results are not going to be guaranteed, but activating that contact list and turning that contact information that you've gathered over years of building your business is essentially a guaranteed way to get at least some of those people to come back. Not everyone's going to want to come back, but a lot of people are going to want to engage, and a lot of folks are going to respond yes. A lot of folks are going to click on an email. With the right tooling, you have the ability to do that and to take that contact list that lives in your property management system, enrich it with any sort of additional data might be needed or might be beneficial to reaching the contacts, whether through forms or surveys or we do AI enrichment over here at Yada, where we can correlate that with contact info and locations and where they traveled from and things like that. It's just a no-brainer, honestly, that as a property manager, the first thing that you should do is activate that list. If we look at how other businesses do it, one of the first things they do is they sit down and they realize, like, oh, we started a business, but we have no idea who we want to reach out to. And they're calling their friends and family, they're posting on LinkedIn, they're doing cold outreach. It's grueling. Having been at a bunch of startups, I know that for a fact. If every time if every startup could get a contact list of 10,000 people to reach out to that have like a pretty good chance of saying yes and purchasing from them again, like that is a dream for a lot of entrepreneurs and for a lot of operators. And to be sitting on that data and doing nothing with it is just wrong. And
it's an opportunity. Let's not shame anybody here. It's an opportunity.
It's a huge opportunity to be sitting on that data. Proves that you have an enormous opportunity to go after that list and to reach out to those people and to give them a reason to re-engage with you, build a relationship with you, and hopefully come back. And it's basically free. Data's already there.
So starting with the data that's already there, you also need to make sure that you are improving the data pipeline. I mean, we're in the tech world. We're always talking about our data pipelines. The data pipeline for Airbnb marketing is how you're getting that guest information. Airbnb is trying to prevent you from building your guest data list because they know that if you have that data, you will try to bring them back not on Airbnb. And Airbnb doesn't want that. So if you can enhance your data pipeline by getting that information in stay, whether it's a pre-stay check-in form, maybe a in-stay QR code leading to what we call smart spaces. It's kind of that guidebook experience from the in-stay check-in. Some way to offer, maybe it's loyalty points or rewards, different perks for getting that information of email and phone number for following up with SMS or WhatsApp. That is gold, especially in the age where Airbnb is locking that down more and more. You need to have ways to get that information. Otherwise, your Airbnb marketing will be stuck at takeoff. It will not get off the ground.
Agreed. I do want to push back there a little bit because a lot of folks do already have really good databases that they can activate. So even if you're not doing something immediately to enrich that data and collect more data, I'd say step one would be see what you can do with the contact info and the data that you have. But you are absolutely right that every operator should be putting resources into collecting information, because it's not just to deliver marketing. I think that's a very naive way of looking at it. If somebody stayed with you, like they chose you because you have a good product and you have a good experience that you can offer them, and chances are that they're going to want to repeat that, especially if it was a really good experience. So from the guest perspective as well, you're making it really easy for them to essentially repeat what they've done before and repeat the wonderful memories that you've had at your property. So it's not really, you never said it was, but I think a lot of people listening might think that it's some sort of underhand way of kind of tricking somebody to giving up contact info. It's really not. It's just giving folks an opportunity to connect with you on their own terms.
It is a service in its own way. I was looking through some of the messages sent by one of our customers, and there was a response where somebody said, I was trying to find your listing on Airbnb, but I couldn't. I've had that experience myself where I'm like, where's that place that we stayed at? How do I get back to maybe they're out of business. Maybe they don't rent it anymore. They're not out of business. Of course they rent it. They're just no longer as high in the algorithm as they were before. So that is likely you. You have people that want to stay with you. And if you're not reaching out to them, you're making it harder. So yeah, I love that. Marketing as a service.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell this from experience. The only hotels or short-term rentals or things like that I really wouldn't want to go back with are like airport hotels. But everywhere that I've traveled for any sort of leisure reason, I would be more than happy to get a message from them asking how I'm doing and if I'm interested in coming back. Because even if it's not top of mind for me right now, it'll make me think about taking another trip, about taking the next flight out, about organizing my group of friends or my partner or my family or whatever. So even from the perspective of a guest, being reached out to in this way is a very, very positive experience. It's not a negative, spammy, any sort of, unpleasant, connotation or experience associated with it.
So yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to keep on going. I've got so many ideas for how to market, off Airbnb or market your Airbnb.
Well, I was actually going to get on that note a little bit because you spent a little bit of time at Shopify, actually quite a bit of time. So for those of us listening, Steve was one of the foundational members in Shopify and helping folks get on board and helping people set up their storefronts and set up their accounts and experiences with Shopify. And Shopify is a great platform because it allows people to get away from paying marketplace fees to Amazon and things like that. Very similar in a way to what we're seeing with direct bookings and so forth. What were some of the strategies that you've seen and that we've seen working at these types of businesses that can be applicable to short-term rental property managers to really drive folks to these storefronts and to drive loyalty and repeat customers?
The better you know your customer base, the better your marketing is going to be. If you just have a list of emails and you say, hey, here's a thing, it'll be more effective than not making an offer. But if you know the exact color of their favorite dry erase marker, and you send them, your latest enhancement or your latest stock of that marker, Be like, oh my God, I was going to go to Staples, but instead I got this email. I'm going to buy it from you. So knowing who that person is, knowing what they like, and being in touch often enough that they know that you know are the ways to activate that database.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that you guys did really well at Shopify was enabling folks to have that data layer so that they could make very informed decisions and make very personalized and real-time decisions about who to offer what, to whom to offer what. How do we do that in short-term rentals? What does that look like for STR operators and hosts?
Yeah. I mean, the bigger ones, the more kind of sophisticated ones, are going to have a sales team dialing into people 2 weeks after they get home, checking in on them, saying, hey, I hope your stay at, the unit name and the location was wonderful. When can we expect you back? Can I help you book your next trip? Yeah. That is how you do it if you got a lot of budget. But the thing about that is, yes, it costs money. Yes, there's people involved. There's training, there's systems. But man, that pays off. Like the reason there are teams who check in on folks and do that hospitable touch is because getting a customer back costs so much less than getting a customer for the first time. So the ROI is there.
Totally. Most of our users don't have really big teams. So I think this is a really good opportunity to show some of the stuff that we've been working on here at Yada. So why don't we show off? We actually have this really cool thing that we released a few weeks ago called Signals.
Good, man. That's crazy.
Because personalization is everything. And if Shopify is anything to go by and the experiences that Steve had helping thousands of people there be very successful, is this understanding, as you were saying, moments ago, that personalization and offering the right thing to the right person at the right time is exponentially more effective than just like blanketing everybody through MailChimp and sending out, 15,000 identical emails with an identical offer.
Yeah.
And
so how do you do personalization at scale? Let's see it, Peter. Enough suspense.
Okay, let me
a little screen share here.
Yeah, let me get this going.
So if you're just listening to the audio, you're going to have to come to yada.ai and check out the podcast feed so you can see what that looks like.
Yeah. No, it's going to be really cool. All right, share screen. Entire screen, right? Yeah, there we go. So in the e-commerce world, you're selling dry erase markers, but for us, we're selling short-term rentals. And as we said a few moments ago, you want to send the right offer to the right person at the right time. And nobody's really done this yet in short-term rentals, mostly because it's pretty damn hard. So we're very proud to be the first to be able to offer something like this. And B, because the data that you need to be able to deliver something like this is quite considerable. So it's not enough to, select all contacts and send one email out. It's really important to, do it for everybody. So what we've got over here is just some really basic signals where, we're looking at folks that stayed in a similar period of time last year. The system goes through every interaction that they've had, like every contact every contact point, every check-in, every stay, every transaction, and generates these phenomenal pieces of content that can get sent out to the guest. And it does this for all sorts of different signals and different personalizations. It can do this for, did they stay last year? Did they just leave a really good review? Is it their birthday? There's hundreds of different signals that the system picks up on to find good reasons to send somebody a really, really, really detailed, personalized message. Like every single one of these is unique. Every single one of these messages is specific to the guest that's receiving these messages.
Can we see what it looks like at scale?
Yeah, at scale. So even if you have 100,000 people in your contact database, you're going to be able to send out 100,000 individualized, personalized messages based on every interaction that guest has had with you in the past. And you just hit accept and send, and it creates a signal for that guest. And just in the next week, we have about $25,000 of opportunity for this individual. can run this stuff at scale, generate. It's going to take a few seconds, but you might be able to run like 100 of these or 200 of these at once. So all of these really sophisticated things that Steve, that you were talking about a little bit earlier, where brands like the Four Seasons and Park Hyatt and things like that have teams of folks calling out to check in with people after they left, to remind them of their anniversaries, to wish them a happy birthday and things like that. They do it because it's really valuable. It's really, really valuable. And now anybody can do it at scale with Yada. Like anybody can just plug in their property management system and then 10 minutes later be able to send out these incredibly personalized, incredibly granular messages to some really, really, really specific segments and people that stayed with them in the past, and have every message be incredibly, incredibly detailed and incredibly personalized. That's something that we're really proud to be able to offer.
And it's way more affordable than building a new pickleball court.
Yeah. And it just leverages that importance and that value that data has. You know, at Yada, we underpin everything by the guest data platform. So the guest data platform is essentially kind of like a vacuum cleaner for every piece of guest data that comes in. Like, when did they check in? When did they check out? How much money they spent? Did they send a message? Did they look at the website? Did they look at the guidebook? Did they click on purchase early check-in or purchase late checkout or any of those things? And we take all of that and use that to create these hyper granular segments, these hyper granular little vignettes that you can send out to the guest in a way that was previously completely out of reach. So,
Yeah.
you know, I would recommend, like, anybody who's not doing this yet, whether you do it with Yada or whether you hire some VAs to do this stuff, or whether you do it yourself for a couple hours a day, take the time, spend the effort, spend the resources to spin this stuff up. And I promise that you will be incredibly pleasantly and intensely surprised by the reception that you get and the feedback that you get from previous guests. So again, I don't really care if people do it on our platform or anywhere else, but this level of like sophistication and intelligent marketing is something that every property manager should be doing, because it exists in every other industry except for this one.
I don't remember where I heard it. I think it might have been Charlie Munger who said, every person has an invisible sign hanging from their neck saying, "Make me feel special." And when you send a marketing message that is not personalized, you are not adhering to that request. But when you send something that is to them, even if you didn't take the time to craft the message, but you took the time to invest in the systems to be able to craft those messages, you are acknowledging the specialness of your past guests, and people respond to that. So that's why we're so excited about this. And when it comes to Airbnb marketing, your ability to make that guest feel special before their stay, during their stay, and as we're talking about, after their stay, that will turn into that'll turn into business ROI, as well as just feel good when you have that kind of human connection.
Absolutely.
So thanks for listening.
I think that about wraps it up for today. We covered a lot. Definitely want to reiterate my suggestion and my encouragement for everybody to take a look at their contact list and make some phone calls and send some text messages and send some emails. If you want to do it at scale and want to do it in a really personalized way, feel free to reach out to us. We'd be more than glad to help you and consult you. We're really on a mission to get folks marketing however they do it, and get folks to spin these operations up, you know, regardless of what, you know, process or system they use or anything like that. So, you know, if there's anything that we want to wrap the day up with today, it's just go out, market to your list, talk to your past guests. You'll love it, and you'll love the responses that you get.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you next time.
Thank you.